Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has seemingly done the impossible and reversed the trend of post-Endgame MCU films being absolute garbage. And it currently enjoys a 4.2 out of 5 on letterboxd, so it looks like most of you agree. But not everyone was happy with James Gunn's final MCU outing, so let's dissect the negative reviews and see what's got the haters so hot. I'm saying hot, hot, hot. Oh, there's gonna be spoilers, by the way. This might be the stupidest movie I've ever seen, and I liked this series initially. The main stupid thing of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the plot conveniences. Oh my god, this film is as bad as the Super Mario Brothers movie in that regard. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 treats space travel like a leisurely stroll through the backyards of your neighborhood. Volume 3 can hardly hear it. And this is a criticism that I am going to push back on a lot. I actually had the thought, sitting in the theater, that I could actually hear clearly and perfectly every single thing that every character on screen was saying. There is no Tennant syndrome here, I can assure you of that.
How'd you get that locker?
I'm not going to say what this person wrote down because they're just doing a copy pasta of that speech from Billy Madison. So instead, I'm just going to say to you, come on, man. Have some originality, why don't ya?
I award you no points.
I'm a throw up. And if you don't want this person to throw up because you're a good, kind person, please like this video. Unnecessarily weird, disgusting, devoid of charm, long, and garbage. Marvel's Babylon. And the thing that I really need to drill down on here is the comparison to Babylon. What are you talking about? There is only one thing that I can think of that is remotely the same between both films, and that is how each film is betrayed by its own ending. In Babylon, we are told that Hollywood is actually great, and don't worry about how it's a meat grinder that doesn't care about you and will recycle your stories for its own profit. And then in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we are told throughout the entire film that cruelty against animals is a bad thing that you shouldn't do, but then with the very last scene of the film, Rocket Raccoon himself decides it's a really good idea to do a genocide on a bunch of indigenous animals because they are bothering the people nearby. You must be joking. The you in this instance being James Gunn, not the person who wrote this review. They might actually be onto something. Peter Quill reminds me of my ex, but at least they were able to move on and they realized that they were using you as a way of feeling home when in fact what they needed to do was actually go home, right? Is that what happened with your ex? This movie was way too long and I had to pee the whole time and the plot line sucked. I don't really think there's a joke here. Maybe just get a better bladder. Literally so tempted to walk out of the theater. But you know what? You didn't. And for that, I'm proud of you. Literally still in the theater right now, when will it end? As soon as you stop taking your cell phone out in the fucking movie theater. Worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It's game time! Yeah! And for those of you who are new and don't know what game time is, whenever someone says that a movie is the worst movie they've ever seen, I go into their previous films watched and find a film that is actually worse. And in the case of our friend Pedro, I can confidently say that Thor: The Dark World is a worse movie. I couldn't finish it, literally sitting in the car home after I had to jump out of my seat to leave. The violence against animals and people was just too much. If you couldn't stand the violence against animals in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but you put animals on your dinner plate, then I think you should actually shut the fuck up. The best part of this movie was when I slept through the last 30 minutes of it. It's so weird when people pay to have a nap in a place that is not conducive to actually having a nap. Unrealistic blood. Was it unrealistic because there was no blood in it? Was there blood in this movie? I don't remember there being any. Let me know in the comments if I'm just forgetting. Radiohead. Review provided without comment. Every Marvel film released after 2021 made the MCU go to shit. I don't know why I keep watching these. If you keep watching shit, they'll keep making shit. Not that I think that this film was total shit, but you know what I mean. I didn't watch the movie, I just do not fuck with James Gunn. At all. Welcome to your weekly reminder that if you didn't watch the movie, you shouldn't rate it. Furry and tentacle propaganda. Isn't that just the MCU in general? Disney has some fucking nerve making a movie about a black eugenicist. I know propaganda when I see it. You know, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. I'd love to know how much money Disney had spent funding America's current trans genocide. Would rate this movie a 0 if I could. And this seems to be the tragic thing that a lot of people have forgotten about now that Disney's legal team is going head to head with the government of Florida. Before all this rigmarole, Disney was giving money to a lot of Republicans in that state who are totally on the side of killing trans people. So this is just a friendly reminder that corporations do not have your best interests at heart, and they will do whatever they possibly can to increase their profit margins. This movie sucks. The music choices suck. This movie made me resent Star Wars for ever being made, and I love Star Wars. Just so we're all clear, science fiction films existed before Star Wars, so there is a chance that a science fiction film in 2023 would have been made anyways, even if Star Wars never existed. Piss. Brevity is the soul of wit. Is this movie any good? I haven't seen it yet. Asking that question with a half-star review? Probably not the best way to find out that information. Too many animals, I don't like fur, shave your face, Ben Platt. Ben Platt, as far as I know, was not in this movie. Rocket Raccoon turned gay, so L. And this kind of review could of course only come from a complete dumbass. For one thing, if Rocket Raccoon did come out as being gay, that would be totally fine. And for another, his love interest was clearly coded as a woman, with the name Lila and the fact that she was voiced by Linda Cardellini. You know, Hawkeye's wife. Ya dumbass. If you love animals, this movie is unwatchable. I'm gonna say this again for everyone in the back. If you're complaining about the depiction of animal cruelty in this film but you aren't vegan, you can shut the fuck up. This movie is cheeks. Do I have to go to Urban Dictionary for this? Oh, it's an Irish phrase meaning shit. Left the theater with an hour left. It was torture to get through that much. Weirdest movie I've ever seen, and not in a good way. If you thought this movie was weird, wait until you see House. Day 1679 of me being held hostage by a man who makes me watch Marvel movies with him. I have no comment on this review. I just wanted to let you know that this person's only film in their top 4 is The Truman Show, and that is awesome. Boo! Plotline based off of animal cruelty. Boo! Tomato, tomato, tomato. And no, I'm not gonna say it again, but it would be kind of fascinating if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was the watershed moment in our society where we started to realize how poorly we actually treat animals. We did it, Reddit! Huzzah? I haven't watched this, I'm rating it poorly because Will Poulter is in it. That's just some petty bullshit ass nonsense. I actually like this one. Unfortunately, no Morbius. I can't believe that we're still dealing with this bullshit. No magic in any scene. The tone shifts constantly. Were you under the impression that this was a fantasy film and that people would be casting spells? You actually should have gone to see Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, but no one did, so we're never going to be able to see another one. Thanks a lot, person who I am now irrationally mad at. Forced to watch, my dad took me to drive-in, half star cause no Lee Pace. Finally, a criticism that I can agree with. Just walked out about halfway through. It was like watching a nightmare. I realize it's based on Rocket's story in the comics, but watching animal cruelty on the big screen or anywhere is traumatic. Who do you think animal cruelty is more traumatizing for? You or the animals? Zachary Bell is a fraud. I don't know who this is. This movie is like if someone heard every criticism and misreading of Dune by Frank Herbert and thought that would be pretty cool actually. Where's the big sand planet and the worms though? A movie made for NPCs. Look everyone, we found the main character. We did it. The search is over. PETA hates this movie. And you know what? I bet they don't. When I was a kid, I used to go to Warped Tour all the time and there was always a PETA stand there, and I can tell you that they had no problem showing videos of animal cruelty, because seeing what happens to animals in captivity, whether it be for food or for testing purposes, is a very effective way of waking people up to what actually happens to animals in our society. One of these days, Marvel will learn how to properly end a franchise. This is not that day, but at least I know when to end a video. So it looks like most of the criticism for this film was the fact that it contained a whole bunch of animal cruelty. Maybe that'll get you to think twice before ordering a goddamn Big Mac.